Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of my lecture. This is Olayeni Dieko Daniels, popularly known as Dieko Spectre. And this is another episode of Dieko Talks Law, where we will be talking about the 11th maxim, that is maxim 11 of the law of equity, which says that equity imputes an intention to fulfill an obligation. I have discussed the first to the 10th maxim, which you can find on my channel. This is the 11th maxim where I'll be talking about equity imputes an intention to fulfill an obligation. If this is your first time of coming to my channel, I want to say a very big welcome. Please make sure that you click the subscribe button and make sure you click the notification bell so that anytime I release a video, importantly click the notification bell, because when I release a video, you'll be one of the first set of people to watch that particular video. And also don't forget to follow me on LinkedIn at Dieko Daniels. Thank you so much as you follow me on LinkedIn. So today we are going to go straight to our lecture. This lecture is going to be a very short lecture, in fact the shortest lecture of all the maxim of equity, where it tells us that when a person is obliged to do an act, whether by law in the wide sense of what law is, that is both in common law and in equity, or by moral obligation, and does an act which could be taken as fulfilling that obligation, equity will put the most favorable construction on his motives, and he will be deemed to have done the act in performance of his duty. So for example, if a husband covenant with the trustee of his marriage settlement that after his marriage he will buy a property at Ikoyi, Lagos, and he will settle it upon the trust, but after the marriage he buys the property and conveys it to himself and dies without bringing the property into the marriage settlement, equity will regard the purchased property as having been brought by the husband in pursuance of his covenant. This property will therefore be subject to the trust of the marriage settlement. The maxim is the basis of the doctrine of performance and satisfaction. I told you that it was a very short class. There are rarely cases on this subject matter, but let me just give you a very mild explanation for better understanding. So here we are talking about a man here, right, who decides that he wanted to buy a house and put it on his marriage settlement, which means that if anything happens to the marriage, this is that they are going to share the property, and this is part of his property that he's going to give if anything happens at the end of the day. But when he got married, he then bought that property but failed to put it as part of the marriage settlement trust. Do you understand? He bought the property, then he conveyed it to himself. He did not put it in marriage settlement trust. But don't forget that before he bought the property, that is like years ago, he told the trustee, the person who is going to settle the whole marriage, whatever, he told him that, okay, I am going to buy. But at the end of the day, when he bought, he did not give it to the person who is supposed to have it, that is the trustee of the marriage settlement. Equity imputes an intention to fulfill an obligation. There, that is not a legal obligation. That was a moral obligation of which he said he was going to do. Where you make a moral obligation, either it is legal, either at law or at equity, or it is moral. The moment you say that you are going to do a thing, or the moment you are meant to do a thing by virtue of the fact that it is legal or it is equitable for you to do it, where you carry out an act, equity will impute an intention of that act to be in line with that obligation. Do you understand? So here, what was the act that he carried? He bought the house at Ikoyi, the same house that he said that he was going to buy. However, he did not, bring it into the marriage settlement. Do you understand? But he conveyed it to himself. Then equity said, okay. If he had said he was going to do it, but he did not eventually do it, but he took certain act that seemed as if he is doing it, but he did not reach there, finally we will make him reach there. So we are going to carry that house and bring it into the marriage settlement. Do you understand? And that is the end of today's class. Very short and very straightforward. that's the end of today's class, where we discuss equity, impute, and intention to fulfill an obligation. In my next class, I'll be talking about equity act in personam. Thank you so much for watching this lecture to the end. Please make sure that you click the subscribe button. Make sure that you click the notification bell so that you get notified when I release a video. And also don't forget to follow me on LinkedIn at Dieko Daniels. I will see you in my next class. Have a beautiful day.